Time now to welcome in our Premier League insider, David Ornstein. David, we are getting ready for Chelsea and Fulham coming up in about 32 minutes here. All at once, I think we can describe Chelsea's time right now is busy and also quite concerning. Run through your headlines for the Blues as you see them right now.
Well, Joao Felix, who we're going to see tonight, Paul, is the most immediate talking point because he'll start. His work permit has been approved. And that deal is a straight loan until the end of the season. And it's quite a big situation for Chelsea because he's a top player for club and country. And it's come at quite a cost. 11 million euros roughly in loan fee plus around 6 million euros in salary. They managed to get a bit of money off what Atletico Madrid initially wanted. I think he's deferred some wages, but that is still costly and it shows how much they needed reinforcements. There was also interest from Manchester United and Arsenal, but he decided to go with Chelsea. He follows the likes of Badiashile into the club, Fofana, who I don't think we're going to see too much of for the time being, and also Andre Santos, one for the future. But Chelsea are also going to need to get players out as well as bringing players in, because don't forget, they do want a midfielder, they do want a forward potentially, they do want cover at right back. But there's been a lot of talk about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Now, what's certain is that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has always been very popular with the biggest clubs in the world, and that is the case now. There is interest in him, but there are no active talks around a potential departure just yet. And Chelsea know that if they can get the best out of him, they have one of Europe's top strikers when he's on form. And the key thing in all of this situation is the coach, Graham Potter. I'm assured that he is genuinely being backed by the new ownership at Stamford Bridge. And some sources close to the situation have said to me, actually, they have more faith in him than ever before. They are squarely behind this project, and that's because it's still coming to fruition. The structure is still taking shape. We've got a couple of executives have already come in on the recruitment side, Paul Winstanley and Christopher Vivell, but there are more to come in Joe Shields and Lawrence Stewart as well. Meanwhile, Todd Boehly has stepped back from his interim sporting director role. So it's a bit of a fluid time at Stamford Bridge, but it's one they will be desperate, brings results on the pitch and off it too.
We go to Everton, and their fans, kind of like Chelsea's right now, not too happy. They flirted with relegation last year, then the drop zone right now, and grumblings now about how their fans might react this weekend. What can you share?
It's another really difficult time at Goodison Park, and we're going to have a very loud and emotional Goodison Park on Saturday when Southampton, the Premier League's bottom place side, lest we forget, come to town, because the Everton fans plan to welcome the coach to the stadium like they were doing towards the end of last season, which shows that they're in a relegation fight once again with flares and chants and atmosphere. And they also plan to stage a sit-in protest, groups of the support base, after the match. Because they want answers from Farhad Moshiri, Everton's owner. They want changes at board level. They wanted him to speak. He has now spoken. He delivered an open letter. Not the first time he's done this. Yesterday, he gave, crucially, his backing to Frank Lampard. You could say the dreaded vote of confidence, but I think on this occasion, he does actually mean it, from what I'm hearing, for the time being at least. You can't keep hiring and firing managers. It's been 7 in 6.5 years at Everton, and that is just not sustainable. He also gave his backing to the board, and pointedly, he said he did what the fans wanted in making changes at management level. I don't think the fans will be too happy about that. Look, so much has been going on at Everton. So much has been spent and wasted. There have been changes in personnel on and off the pitch. The previous excess and the building of a new stadium mean there's very little money to spend now for them to get out of this trouble. So they're going to be looking for loans, or loans with options or obligations to buy, low-cost permanent transfers. They haven't brought anybody in yet. And their sporting director, Kevin Thirlwell, is trying hard, but in very difficult circumstances, because we've seen at Everton that different people have different agendas, power, egos, from Moshiri, Bill Kenwright, and others within that structure. Now, there's another issue at Everton, that there are new contracts that remain unsigned, most notably for Anthony Gordon. So we're going to have to watch this space on that one. Jordan Pickford too, Alex Iwobi as well. It's a time of real strife, but they will hope to come together on Saturday. That match is monumental.
Yeah, thinking about a monumental match on Saturday. Let's go to the Manchester Derby and specifically United. They announced in November they were exploring the possible sale of the club. They can have a ripple effect of many different types. How has it affected specifically their activity, or I guess lack thereof, with this transfer window?
It's governing everything that happens at Old Trafford now, Paul, and that shows how impactful it is, because Manchester United would have been looking to do some serious business, I suspect, during this January transfer window, given Erik ten Hag is still relatively new. He still wants to build the squad, and they're on to a good thing. They're doing really well, so it could propel them towards the Champions League place that would be so crucial to them. But because of this sale process, the money is just not there. They've had to go for loans only, and low-cost ones at that. The options are slim. He wanted a striker. He's managed to get one. Wout Weghorst. The deal has been agreed. He was on loan at Besiktas in Turkey from Burnley after their relegation from the Premier League last season. £2.5 million will go to Besiktas to break that loan, bring him to Old Trafford. He's already travelling. He'll undergo a medical and complete that move. He offers Erik ten Hag something different following the departure of Cristiano Ronaldo. Ten Hag will know his fellow Dutchman now. He also excelled for the Dutch national team at the World Cup, and Ten Hag is close to the Dutch manager, of course. And therefore, this is going to be a really interesting one, a bit of a surprise package. It wasn't planned by Manchester United, but they've had to change their plans because of that sale. But if you think the sale might go through before the summer, you might need to think again about massive spending, because the Telegraph are reporting here in the UK tonight that even then Manchester United need to return to the Champions League, and they need significant sales if they're going to sign the big names that get linked with them, the likes of Harry Kane, Benjamin Sesko, Jude Bellingham, Frankie de Jong, those sorts of targets. I'm not saying any of them are going to be landed, because they've got financial difficulties under UEFA's new financial sustainability rules. That's largely owing to around £307 million owed from previous transfers, as well as that Champions League status and their big spending last summer. So this is a real interesting time at Old Trafford. But Erik ten Hag is leading them onto a good thing. They're going for 7 wins in a row against Manchester City. Marcus Rashford's on fire. Casemiro's doing great. And so things are actually going well, but there's so much more to this story that remains uncertain.
David Ornstein, our Premier League insider, thank you.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.